Yeah, I'm bit. Had to get my, had to get my, gotta get my professor shades on. Had to get Professor Wilkes mode. Let's see, yeah. Yeah, I gotta get in Professor Wilkes mode. And like I said, you miss it, just catch the playthrough because I'm not gonna delete it. I got my, had to get my notes ready for this one, you know. But okay, like I said, with self love, this whole thing, with self love, it's a little more in detail than a lot of people think. Cause a lot of people tell you, hey, you gotta love yourself, or you gotta know how to be by yourself, or you gotta know how to be alone, and things like that. But what does that really mean, though? What does it really mean to actually love yourself? And they always tell you that you gotta love yourself before you be with somebody else. And what does that entail? What are the details? They always tell you that, but very few people. I've never heard it explained in detail. A lot of this stuff I had to either figure out, or God had to explain it to me. I had to seek the Lord when it came to that kind of stuff. But since God gives me wisdom, everybody know that. By now, people that have been following for a long time, and people that haven't, God gives me wisdom and certain things I have to learn in life, either the hard way or sometimes He gives me wisdom, and I share it with other people so they don't have to go through all that stuff, so they don't have to do the same thing. But there's 5 different aspects, 5 different realms, 5 different areas in which you have to love yourself. I'm gonna go down in great detail. I'm gonna break it down to where anybody can explain it. And you know, if you wanna take notes on your phone, on your computer, tablet, whatever, piece of paper. Yeah, but it's this. He whooped me up and down with this. He got me all the way. He whooped me all up the street, drove me back to the house. Everything with this one, because it was some things that I've been slacking on, and he had to get me together too. So don't feel extremely bad if you lacking in some of these areas, because I had to work on. There's some things I got to perfect myself. And he broke it down to me, and it was, I got rebuked, but I felt joy at the end of it because it was helping. It blessed me. So let's get into it. Start with the mind. That's one aspect. Breaking down the mind. We all know the mental health is important. I've talked about it countless times. There's more to it than this, but managing your mental health, if you can't afford professional therapy because it's rather expensive sometimes, there are resources to where you can get professional help, and it won't cost you anything. You can maybe do some research in your area. I might provide further details on my Terrell Speaks podcast, because I'm doing podcasts with healing in the community with Terrell Speaks, and healing and while in ministry on my Teed Up show. So I can, because I'm very strong and advocate when it comes to mental health, because I myself had to go through a long, drawn-out process in improving my mental health. Because you can have gifts, you can have all this kind of stuff. You can speak in tongues, you can do all this stuff. You can have the Holy Ghost. You can be extraordinary with musicians. You can be extraordinary with your words when it comes to preaching, prophesying, all that kind of stuff. But you can also be afflicted with mental illness. And it can cause, it can open portals to you having soul ties, strongholds, and other things in your life. And that's why you want your mental health to be in order, because he can attack. The enemy uses the mind. So if your mental health is down, you're not sober minded, so he can control your mind. But a lot of that stuff is on my podcast, on the series I started on both my podcasts. But not only the mental health, it's dealing with knowledge. And you say, what knowledge has to do with this? Well, come to loving yourself, anything that has love attached to it is going to be dealing with growth, because anything that God is attached to is going to have growth. Anytime Because when you're dealing with God, when you have a relationship with God, He's going to promote growth. He's going to promote elevation, glory to glory, faith to faith, and all that stuff. He's going to require you to move up. So when it comes to knowledge, what have you learned in the past day, the past week, the past month, past anything? What have you learned? What have you done to acquire new knowledge? Part of loving yourself is learning new things. And I'm going somewhere with this mind stuff because everything starts with the mind. If your mind is not right, all the rest of this stuff, with everything else I'm going to go over, is irrelevant. If your mind is not right, if your mind ain't in the right place, because any kind of growth, any kind of understanding, it requires you to have the right mindset. Anytime you want to change, anytime you want to even receive information, you receive wisdom, you have to have the right mindset. So when it comes to knowledge, what are you doing to increase your knowledge? That's why that's why a lot of people ask me, how do you know how to do so much? What do you do? Because I'm constantly expanding my knowledge. I'm constantly doing things to improve, expand on what I know. I don't just stop with music. I don't just stop with one thing. I started out just only knowing how to sing. I expanded on that. I expanded on into doing other things, learning other skills, taking on other abilities, learning other abilities, being trained in other different areas. Cause that's how I know property management, auto detailing, construction work, maintenance work, paperwork, office work, bookkeeping. You constantly do things. All you're doing is constantly doing things to expand your knowledge. Just like our good old friend YouTube. How a lot of people don't know how to do stuff. Where do you go? You go to YouTube if you don't know how to do it. You learn how to do it. You want to know how to put a cabinet up. You want to learn how to change spark plugs in your car, whatever the case may be. Change the tire. Everything. So what are you doing to expand your knowledge? Are you reading a book? Are you going on the internet learning how to do new things? Or increasing your abilities, adding to your talents? Are you, if you don't have a mentor in your life, are you reading books on people who you aspire to be like? You know, things like that. People that are going to school, they're increasing their knowledge. That's part of loving yourself. You're doing something to elevate. That's anything that inquire, like getting a real estate license. Like I got my insurance license. I'm working on getting my stockbroker license. Increasing knowledge. It's part of self-love, part of self-care. Because you're improving on the things that you have. You're increasing. You have to continuously increase in those areas. Otherwise, if you're not going forward, you're going backwards. So that's part of it. If you hadn't learned anything, if you hadn't been learning anything, you hadn't been doing nothing to add to your knowledge, now you're lacking when it comes to loving yourself properly. You have to increase. You have to improve. Always looking for ways to expand and grow knowledge-wise. Like I say, because he said people are destroyed from lack of knowledge. If you don't have the money to do certain things, knowledge might save you. You might be certain things you can learn to get around that, work your way around it. Like, what are you learning towards? Are you learning different things about financial literacy? Are you learning, let's say, how to grow your own food or how to fish or different things like that? There's different ways to save money. There's different ways to work. If you don't have certain finances, there's ways you can save money. Learn new recipes, stuff like that. Anything like that. All that stuff is dealing with knowledge. How to learn new recipes of knowledge. That's a part of knowledge. Knowing how to grow your own food. That's knowledge. That's things you can do to save, and that's going to help you and propel in life. It's going to elevate you because you're not wasting money. You're not. It's helping you with finances. I'm just using an example now. There's all kind of ways to improve your knowledge. Learn about health and nutrition. You can increase your knowledge education-wise. Whatever path you're going on, whatever path you're going down in life, because God has different paths for everybody, you have to increase your knowledge as it pertains to what He has you to do, the path He has you going down, the kind of life. You look at your surroundings, look at what kind of life situation you're placed in. Half the time we're in bad situations because the only thing we lacking is knowledge. We have a lot of problems because we don't have the knowledge to deal with those situations. The problem is it's a situation without the knowledge. You don't have the knowledge to deal with that situation. That's why you have a problem. Because once you know what to do in that situation, because knowledge, I did in the previous podcast, knowledge is knowing what to do. But the next step is knowledge is knowing how to do. Wisdom is knowing what to do. Speaking of that, we're going into the next one. Wisdom. All wisdom comes from God. So in order to have wisdom, you have to have some type of connection with God, some type of spiritual connection with God. Otherwise, you won't have access to the true wisdom, what it is. You might have access to worldly wisdom and all that stuff, but it won't really amount to much. So you have to obtain wisdom from God, because He'll tell you what to do in given situations, what to do, what not to do, what to stay away from. So this is still part of the mind. You're learning. First was knowledge. You're learning things we already did with mental health. We already learned what to do. We're learning. Let's see. Yeah, we're learning what to do. That was knowledge. And wisdom, we're learning. No, I'm tripping. Knowledge is how to do. Wisdom is what to do. Because wisdom comes from God. He'll tell you what to do when certain things happen. Like He might tell you to, you have to seek Him for different situations. He might tell you not to spend so much money in this season. He might tell you to pull back in this season. He might tell you, okay, you don't need to be eating out this month or next month because you got a drought coming. You got something. He's telling you what to do. When in certain situations, you might not understand what's going on at the moment, but He might tell you, okay, you might want to conserve your gas, or you might want to do X, Y, Z because you got a storm coming. Warning always comes before destruction. Anytime something happens, He's going to tell you to either cut back, or He's going to tell you how to deal with it. He's going to show you. And this requires a relationship with God. So that's where it's the only way you're going to get wisdom, the real wisdom that you need. So you got, and to understand, this is still part of the mind. You still got to know why you're doing what you're doing. And I'm tying all this in. So just be patient. I'm tying all this in. Understand, you got to know why you're doing what you're doing. You got to know what to do. You got to know how to do, which is the knowledge. Knowledge is knowing how. Knowing what to do is good, but if you don't know how to do certain things, if you don't know how to save money, if He's telling you need to save and you do things, getting that knowledge is learning financial literacy. Now you're learning how to save, and you're changing the way you look at money, stuff like that. I'm just using examples. So, and understand now you're knowing why. When that drought comes, when that drought hits, you just learned why you had to do those things. You learned why you had to do what God was telling you to do, which was cut back on His expenses and things like that. And then you use the knowledge of financial literacy to do what God has told you to do. Wisdom, God is telling you what to do. Knowledge, it's how to do what God is telling you to do. When it says mental health, you have to maintain your mental health. That's wisdom. That's what to do. When you go to a therapist, when you go to a licensed professional, that will give you different strategies and techniques and different homework assignments on how to release people, how to forgive people, tell you how to act in different situations, how to set healthy boundaries. They're giving you knowledge. They're giving you knowledge. That's knowledge. And the understanding is you have to maintain that mental health so you could have peace. That's the understanding. The result, once you get the result, once you see the benefit of doing those things, of applying that knowledge, you'll have understanding. It don't come without experience. So it's like I was always told biblically that I was always told that stuff. You gotta set healthy boundaries. You gotta protect your mind. You gotta be by yourself. I was always told these things in wisdom, but I didn't have the knowledge, and so that's why I'm giving everybody the knowledge on what they need to know. I didn't have the knowledge. I was just told you got to be by yourself. You got to love yourself first. And two, love is not a feeling. Love is not how you feel. It's what you do. So it's not how you feel about yourself. It's what you do for yourself. You loving yourself. Because God said, if you love me, keep my commandments. So it's what you do. It's not how you feel. It's not how you feel about him. Because he don't want you to just, oh God, you're the greatest, you're awesome. And worship alone is not enough. keep my commandments. If you love me, do as I say. Do what I'm asking you to do. Obey me. If I tell you to do something, do it. If I tell you don't stay away from something, don't do it. Keep my commandments. If you this action. That's why I'm telling you to do things, to improve your knowledge, to improve your wisdom, to improve. I'm gonna go down to all the different aspects, and I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. Now we're dealing with the body. It's gonna be you maintain your health. What are you putting in your body? Or what is your diet like? You maintaining your health. What are your activities? Are you active or are you not taking care of your health? And for people that have high blood pressure, diabetes, how are you managing that? How are you maintaining that? Are you lazy or are you active? What are you doing with yourself? That's why I post going to the gym. I'm not trying to bait and attract nobody. I'm just showing, okay, I'm taking care of myself, taking care of my body because it's important. I feel better than I've ever felt in my entire life because I go to the gym, I work out, I'm taking care of my body. That's part of self-love. All this is part of self-love. The mind, I'm taking care of my body, eating right, making sure I exercise as often as I can, maintain. All that is you're loving yourself. It takes work, takes dedication, it takes discipline, it takes consistency. I'm going somewhere with all of this. It takes consistency, and it's mainly like you said. What are you eating? Like they say, what they say, diet is staying healthy is 80% nutrition and 20% exercise, something like that. Might be close, but that's the gist of it. You have to maintain your health. You have to manage it, just like you manage anything else in life. You have to your hygiene when it comes to hygiene, consistently. Everything, all these things with your health, with your hygiene, always have to be consistent. This is all part of self-love. If you're not keeping up with your health, you're not keeping up with your hygiene, you're not loving yourself properly. If you're not gaining any knowledge, you're not trying to seek wisdom from God, you're not seeking understanding on how things go, you're not loving yourself properly. He beat me over the head with this one. You're not loving yourself properly if you lacking in these areas. You have to, these things that we have to tighten up on in order to show ourselves, in order to show self-love properly. Like I said, hygiene. Are you smelling like? You know what I'm saying? Ain't none of my business. I'm just saying we have to keep up with our hygiene when it comes to taking care of ourselves, our body, how we smell, when we in public, things like that. Not even just in public. Even if you're not around nobody, how are we doing that? What are we doing? You know what I'm saying? Just like my pastor said Sunday. I took that one message and ran. He said, "Is your private life worth modeling?" That one, that one was what stuck me. And this is part of it. What are you doing? Are you doing these things to impress somebody? Or are you doing these things just because you love yourself? Are you doing this stuff for yourself? It's not. I took it a whole nother way because when it comes to self-love, we have to be willing to do all these things for ourselves. When ain't nobody looking, when ain't nobody around, if we never get anybody, when it comes to a relationship, we have to do it because we love ourselves. All this stuff, seeking wisdom from God, this is all part of self-love. Grooming with yourself. You know what I'm saying? How are you when it comes to those things? I'm just saying, these are just examples too. When it comes to taking care of your body. Taking care of your body, because your body, God gave us this body, so we have to make sure we take care of it. Make sure we keep it up. We can't let it go. We can't let ourselves go. Get all over the place. I'm not saying that looks don't matter and all that stuff, but us taking care of ourselves, us being healthy, us taking care of the vessel that God gave us, so we can be here as long as possible to be used for the kingdom. This is how we are as believers now, because you have so many Christians in poor health, don't take care of themselves, and want to blame the devil when their health start failing them, when their body start failing them, when they can't find no spouse, all this kind of stuff. They want to blame Satan, but actuality it's because we don't have the knowledge that we need to attract the right people, because we're not even loving ourselves properly. If you can't love yourself properly, you can't possibly love anybody else. because we're not even consistent with ourselves. If you're not consistent doing these things with yourself, there's no way you're going to be consistent when you add somebody else in your life, when you try to be in a relationship, when you try to be committed. Y'all might not like me right now, but this is the way it is. He gave it to me like this. Health professionals. Do you have a physician? Do you have a doctor? If you have Medicaid, if you have any kind of health insurance, you should have yourself a doctor, a dentist, something. You should have yourself some people that's going to give you advice, sound advice on how to. It's a lot of thundering out here because it's storming out there, but we're going to keep this thing going. But health professionals. If you have health insurance, you need to have a doctor. You need to have a physician. You need to have people be in contact with professionals, health professionals, dentists, eye doctors. That's going to keep you on track when it comes to that stuff, because they're going to give you the advice that you need. Now we're going to go to spirit. What are you feeding your spirit? I ain't saying you got to be at the altar all day, 5 hours a day. I'm not saying you have to be, you have to spend every waking moment with God and all that stuff. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying at all. What are you feeding your spirit? Are you doing anything? Just like practicing. Like when I practice music, I don't have to practice 13 hours a day, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. I don't have to do that. What are you doing towards feeding your spirit? Are you feeding? If we're believers, we have to be feeding ourselves something that pertains to God every day. I don't care if you read one scripture and meditate on it. I don't care if you just watch one video on YouTube, watch one message. It's what you have to feed your spirit something every single day. If you don't, it's like brushing your teeth every day. It's like washing your face, like taking a bath. It's like keeping up with hygiene. All this stuff has to be done consistent. All this stuff has to be consistent. These things have to be consistent. This is part of loving yourself. It ain't how you feel. I love myself. I'm just. But you're not doing this stuff. You're not keeping up with your hygiene. You're not keeping up with your health. You're not feeding your spirit anything. You're not improving your knowledge. You're not improving your wisdom. How are you loving yourself? How are you showing love to yourself? How you say you love yourself, but what are you doing? So it's not how you feel. It's not what you say. It's not what you think. It's not what you believe. It's what you do. Love is what you do. You have to do love. You have to show love. You have to give love. It's not you. Oh, I just love. No. That's not it. That's not how it works. What are you feeding your spirit? And see, your time that you spend with God, like I said, the time that you spend with God in prayer, the time you spend talking to God, not just complaining, but talking to God. As a believer, we have to spend a certain amount of time with God. I ain't saying it had to be all day, every day, like I said, but you do have to spend time with Him. You have to have that relationship, that bond with Him. What is that? Fellowship. Which comes to, no. What are we doing? Yeah, we in the spirit. Okay. Fellowship. That's what it says. Fail not to assemble yourselves together. Fellowship, meaning, how is your relationship with other believers? Do you have what is your circle like? Are you surrounded by? Because I seen a post on Facebook. They're saying how there's something dealing with what do you do when you don't have the strength spiritually to fight. I was talking about it. You have to have a right. You have to be surrounded. Because God's gonna put people in your life. He's gonna assign people in your life that's gonna be able to pray for you when you can't pray for yourself. You're gonna have people around you. That fellowship. We need fellowship when it comes to spiritual stuff. Because we got gifts. We might talk in the prophetic. We might pray. We might have. But we need people around us that's gonna sharpen us. We have that iron sharpen the iron, whole iron sharpen iron deal. We need people around us that's going to elevate us, help elevate us. It's going to hold us accountable, different things like that. So the fellowship that's where the fellowship comes in. If you don't have that, then you're stagnant. You can be stagnant very easily. You got to be surrounded by people in all areas. Like if you want to maintain your health, you need to be connected on some kind of way. If it ain't but social media, if you don't do them but join groups on Facebook, we join all these other crazy groups. But when it comes to expanding our knowledge, when it comes to expanding, keeping up with our health, we don't join groups and we don't download or join groups when it pertains to that, when it pertains to our well-being. So these are a lot of things we missed out on because we didn't know any better, and we claimed a lot of us claim to love ourselves, But we don't do none of this stuff. Because God had to show me this stuff. You know what I'm saying? I was told this stuff, but I didn't see the importance in it. He had to explain and break it down to me. He had to rebuke me. He had to do all that kind of stuff. So I could, the fellowship is important. You got mind. I'm breaking, you see where I'm going. You got mind, you got body, you got spirit, you got two more though. One is possessions, the things that you have. How do you manage what you have? Are you taking care of your house? This is one that hit me hard, boy. Oh boy, he whooped me all up and down the road with this one. Possession. What are you doing with what you have? Are you taking care of your house? Are you taking care of do you have if you have transportation? Are you taking care of your transportation? Are you taking care of the things that you have, your clothes, your anything that you have? What are you doing with what you have? Are you just letting it rot, or are you keeping it up? Your possession, anything. It could be like I said, it had cows, car, clothes. These are just examples. Just think about anything that you have. How are you maintaining that stuff? Do you just dress in a kind of way, look in a kind of way? Do you just... I'm not saying that you have to have Versace and Jordan and Gucci and all that kind of stuff. No. How do you present yourself? How do you take care if you have an apartment? Or is it clean? Is it manageable? Or you can hardly get in there? Or are you ashamed to invite guests over? And it just stuff. How are you managing? Having a routine, managing all of this stuff, your mind, your body, your spirit, your possessions, what you have, your apartment, your cars, keeping your stuff up, keeping things up, because you manage this stuff. These are the things that God gave us. So we don't maintain this stuff. We're not loving ourselves. We're not showing the right amount of love that we need to show to ourselves. And we wonder why things alter, why things just fall by the wayside when it comes to, we can't, and it's hard to invite somebody else in if we're not even balanced when it comes to our own life, our own house is not even in order. Let's see. You got, and not only you got your mind, your body, your spirit, your possessions, your craft. The gifts that God gave you, it could be the gifts that God gave you, it could be your career, it could be your musical gifts, it could be your gifts to preach, to prophesy, it could be to teach. You could be a mechanic, you could be whatever gifts that God gave you. How are you managing that stuff? Are you trying to expand that gift, or are you just hiding it under a rock? What are you doing with your gifts? What are you doing with your talents? What are you doing with the things that God bless you? Because those are the things that sustain you. That's why we have a lot of problems with guys now when it comes to, I see a lot of people complain about men that not able to not provide, not doing this kind of stuff. Because these things, everything I've mentioned, they're lacking in those stuff. You notice they're not keeping themselves up. You notice they're not taking care of their possessions. They might not have any possessions. You notice they're not using their gift properly. You notice a lot of these things that they might not even be wanting a job, wanting a career. They might not even, you have men and women like this. If you're good at doing hair, if you're good at cutting hair, if you're good at whatever, if it ain't nothing but one gift, if all you can do is cut hair, expand on that. You might gain more gifts off of that. When I started, like I said, I was little. Only thing I knew how to do was sing. That was it. That was the only gift I had. I had expanded and added to it. You have to nurture these crafts. You have to add to these crafts. You have to. How are you managing that? That's part of your self-love. Because that's going to sustain you. That's how you're going to put food on the table. That's how you're going to prosper. Because God told us to use our gifts so we can prosper. We have to use our gifts. If you have a real good knack for business, you have a real good knack for, you're real good at talking to people. You're real good at, you use that stuff to elevate you. You add to it. That's where it comes from with the mind when it comes to knowledge. You expand your knowledge when it comes to those gifts. Like you cook. You want to, that's a real good gift for you. You just naturally cook real good. Expand your knowledge on cooking. Like when I was doing detailing, I expanded my knowledge on detailing to be the best person I could be, the best detailer I could be when it comes to music. I expand my knowledge on it. That's why every time you look, I got a new instrument in my hand. Expanding my knowledge on it. That's my craft. My craft is music, so I expand my knowledge constantly on it. That's why you have to consistently expand your knowledge. on the things that you're good at, things that you're gifted in. When it comes to your career, you're a cop. Try to be the best officer you can be. Try to learn as much as you can about that field, about criminal justice. Try to learn as much as you can. You're a lawyer. Learn as much as you can about the law. You, a doctor, learn as much as you can about it. You do hair. Learn it as much as you possibly can. Learn how to cut hair. Learn how to do design. Learn how to dye it. Learn how to do it. You never know what might happen, because more you know, it'll expand your opportunity. It'll increase. Because the more I learn about music, I'm steady getting more opportunities when it comes to that. The more you know, you learn, you increase. You're steady setting yourself up for increase. So it's all about, your mind. What are you doing to elevate your mind? Not only mental health, but your knowledge, increasing your knowledge, seeking God for your wisdom constantly, and gaining understanding through your experiences. You don't have to learn everything the hard way. It can be reading and stuff like that. Learning from other people's mistakes. And they might give you the understanding. This is where I messed up, and this is how I fixed it. This is why I'll never do that again. Learn from other people. Your body, how you doing with your health? How you doing with your hygiene? How you doing with that stuff? How are you doing with it when it comes to, taking care of your body, your grooming, are you connected to health professionals, doctors, eye doctors, your spirit? How is your relationship with God? What are you doing to elevate yourself in God? What are you feeding your spirit? Are you just watching junk and entertaining junk only and not pouring anything into your spirit? Because if you don't feed your spirit, you're going to be drained. You're going to always be seeking people to help pray for you. I need somebody to pray for me. You're going to always be in that place. And what you put in yourself, that's what's going to come out when it's time to fight. If you constantly feed your spirit biblical stuff, spiritual stuff, godly stuff, when something happens, you'll be strong enough to overcome it. Sometimes you might not be, because there might be some things that come that's outside of your scope, but there might be far and in between. You might, because if you spiritually connected, nothing is gonna surprise you, because God's gonna, if anything is coming, God's gonna warn you about it. You're gonna know that something is coming. You're gonna feel it in your spirit. You're gonna feel it. You're gonna be that sensitive in your fellowship. Who you connected to, your circle, what kind of people you have around you. If you as a believer, you have worldly people around you that's going to drain you from your spirit, because worldly people drain us as believers. We can't stay connected to them for too long. It's going to drain our spiritual. So we need people that's going to pour back into us. We need people like that. Especially we pouring out in ministry as musicians, as preachers, as prophets, as people that's as prayer warriors, can't think of the word right now. Can't think of it right now, but we're gonna keep on going. Intercessors, yeah, you constantly pouring out. Your possessions. How are you managing the things that you have? Your house, your car, your apartment, your business, Let's say you own a building and you have a business. How are you taking care of? You taking care of that building? Are you managing your yard? You taking care of? You pressure washing your driveway, things like that. How do you take care of the things that you have? How are you managing that stuff? You got regular clothes, or you now, I'm not talking about people that can't afford stuff, but even if you have the same jeans on every day, you can't afford a new pair of jeans, make them jeans shine, make them start to iron them, and take good care of them jeans. If you only got one pair, of shoes, shine, make them shoes look as best you can. He's going to bless you with more, whatever you take care of. I started out with a hoopty. Now I got 3 cars. I took care of that car. I cleaned that car out. I took care of it back. It was a hoopty. It was always breaking down, but I treated it like it was a Mercedes. And he blessed me he gave me 3 cars. He blessed me with that stuff. Because you manage the little small thing. You have to manage the small stuff. You can't. He'll bless you with it. He'll bless you. He'll elevate you. Because you have to start somewhere. I never believe God is testing you to see where He already know where you at. He'll start you out with something so you can take what He give you and start it. Because you can't manage that little small thing He give you. How you gonna manage the big stuff? It's way more complicated. It requires a lot more work, requires a lot more dedication, requires a lot more consistency when it comes to yourself. You can't even take care of yourself. You can't do these things for yourself. With the mind, the body, the spirit, your possessions, taking care of your possessions and working on your craft. If you can't do that with yourself, fellas, if you can't do all that for yourself, you're not working on your craft, you're not working on the things that's going to provide for you, sustain you, going to help you, how are you going to take care of a spouse? How are you going to have a wife? How are you going to have anything? How are you going to take care of your kids? All that is important. All this, your mind, body, how are you going to be in the right place? If you can't take care of yourself consistently, this same for anybody, ladies, fellas, anybody. You can't do this stuff consistent. That's why a lot of people in relationships complain about consistency. These men are inconsistent. You know why? Ladies, you know why men are inconsistent? You know why we are inconsistent as men? I'm including myself because he whooped me too with this. You know why we're inconsistent as men? We don't have all that. The stuff I just talked about, we're not doing it consistently. If we ain't doing this consistently, how are we going to treat you right on a consistent basis? We're not even treating ourselves right on a consistent basis. The stuff I just went over, that's how you treat yourself right. We don't do it consistently. That's why we having the problems when it comes to relationships and when it comes to try to bring somebody else in and love them right on. Because we're not even doing this stuff for ourselves. We're not keeping our own environment clean. We're not taking care of our own stuff. We're not even keeping our own bodies and self up, our mind. We're not expanding our own knowledge and careers and understanding and seeking wisdom from the Lord. Because seeking wisdom from the Lord, that requires, you can't lead a wife if you don't have wisdom. If you're not seeking wisdom from God, you're not going to have no wife. You can't, how you going to lead a family? How you going to have a family? You can't lead them. Who you going to listen to? Who you listening to? There's no wisdom. Without wisdom, how are you going to lead a wife? How are you going to have a spouse? You ain't increasing your knowledge on how to do stuff, on what to do. How are you going to lead a family? You're not doing it because you have to take this stuff that you're doing for yourself, all this, and show your kids how to do it. Because back then, that's why people was able to get married, grow up and get married, do all that, because they was trained up in this. We trained up on iPhones and iPads and TV stuff. So we don't have this. We don't have this kind of training. This is what we need. We have to be trained in these areas to love. This is how we love. I said it's 5 different areas when it comes to that: mind, body, spirit, possessions, and your craft, your gift. All this has to be perfected. It has to be second nature. It has to be like clockwork. I'm training myself to do it now. When I was telling people, hey, I'm spending time trying to love myself. This is what I was talking about. I'm trying to get these things down pat. I don't have them down pat. God gave me this message. He broke it down to me. I got to get this stuff. I'm working on it. I got some of the stuff down pat. I got to get it down pat. I ain't got it yet. Other people, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying, now, can you perfect it while in a relationship, while in a marriage? Yes, absolutely, because it's happened all the time. But this is something I'm choosing to do. This is something Timothy Wilson's choosing to do. It's not got nothing to do with nobody else. And you can work on this while you're married. You can work on this because it has been done. I've seen testimonies. I've heard stories and testimonies. It has been done. You can do it. But me, I'm making it easier on myself because I suck at multitasking. I suck at it. I'm not good at it. I have to do one thing at a time. I have to master one thing, then I move on to something else. Once I master that, once it becomes second nature, then I incorporate something else into it. Until then, it's not gonna work because I'm gonna forget some stuff. I'm gonna be unorganized. I'm gonna be all over the place. I know me. So once I perfect this, then I can add because it requires this. These things I'm talking about is a prerequisite for marriage. If a man can't do all this, he can't have. It's gonna be hard when he have a wife. It's gonna be hard. He got to be able to lead her with the wisdom of the Lord. He got to constantly expand his knowledge. He got to know how to do stuff, fix stuff. He got to know how to take care of it. He got to be working on his craft so he can bring in income to take care of his family, to provide. That's the craft. He got to have. See, I'm tying all this in. He got to be taking care of his body because he got to have that strength. He got to get out there in the yard, do certain. Just use an example now. He got to be able to get out there. He got to have that strength. He got to maintain that. So he can keep providing, keep protecting. He got to be healthy so he can be around. And his mind has to be healthy. His mind has to be right. He can't be toxic. He can't be abusive. A lot of men, it's too many guys that's in relationships that's verbally abusing women, that's talking down to women, that's that's constantly, that's taking all the trauma and frustration out on women because they have yet to heal. That's why I'm doing a series, Healing the Community, Healing the Ministry. I'm on a roll. Whatever else come out of my mouth, I can't. Yeah, sorry, not sorry in advance. But anyway, they've yet to heal. They've yet to do these things. They've yet to practice self-love. So when they get in a relationship with y'all, we add to y'all problem. We add to y'all pain. We add to y'all trauma because we've yet to do the work that it takes to love ourselves on a consistent basis. We yet to do the work that it takes to love ourselves mentally, to seek knowledge, to seek professional help, to seek those things, because a lot of men are ashamed of going to counseling, ashamed of going to therapy, which is beyond me, because it's a part of self-love. If you don't do that, you don't love yourself. You're not loving yourself properly. It's what you do. You're not taking care of your mind, not taking care of your body. You're walking around smelling like 2 days past death. You're not loving yourself properly. You're not loving yourself properly. Your teeth falling out your mouth. You're not loving yourself properly if you're doing all kind of stuff that's destroying your health. You're not loving yourself properly. Okay? You're not loving yourself properly if you don't have a bond with God, a strong relationship with God, because that's the person that gave you life. That's the person that you're going to have connection to. It's the person that's going to lead you through life, going to lead you through everything that you could possibly go through. You're probably about any obstacle that you could ever face. It's going to keep you protected from the enemy. It's going to shield you. It's all for your benefit. You're not loving yourself properly if you're not connected to Him. If you're not taking care of the things that you have, you're not taking care of your house, not taking care of your car, not taking care of whatever, you're not doing things that it takes to gain certain things, to get what you need. You're not loving yourself properly. If you're not improving your craft, you're not loving yourself properly. If you're not doing it, you're not loving yourself properly. I see people joining in. Just watch the playthrough. I'm not going to delete it or anything like that. And you see all this stuff that you have to do. Now you know you ain't got no time, ladies. You ain't got no time to be gossiping, to be talking about other people. You know what sister so-and-so had on last Sunday. You ain't got no time to be doing that, because you got so much, all this stuff, loving your mind, body, spirit, possessions. You're working on your craft. If you're doing all that, you ain't got time to be focused on somebody else. You don't have time to be worried about what other people is doing, what other people had on, what other people got going on in their life, and you talking about somebody else's flaws, you bashing for their flaws. If you doing all this, you ain't got no time for none of that, because you're going to be too busy. We don't have time to play around. We don't have time to mess around. It takes all of this just to love yourself. All of this. This is how you love yourself. A lot of people, I love myself. But none of it, they're not doing any of these things. Maybe 2 or 3 of this stuff. They're not doing any of it. Their mental health sucks. See what I'm saying? It might be dressing good looking, but their mental health is horrible. Or they don't even have a relationship with God. They just flaunting and playing around and not really praying, not spending time with God, not meditating on. I'm talking about as believers now. You know, if you're not a believer, I ain't talking to you, because this stung me. So I had to deliver it how I got it. You ain't taking care of your possessions, your body, the stuff that you have, anything that pertains to you, anything connected to you. If you're not managing it properly, you're not loving yourself properly. It's not what you say. It's not how you feel. Love is what you do. You have to show it. You have to see love. And you're not showing yourself love. If you're not doing these things on a consistent basis, it's impossible. It's going to be impossible to be consistent with a spouse, to be consistent with somebody that you claim you want to be with. It's going to be impossible, because you're not doing it because you have to practice. It's just like anything else. It requires practice. It's like you practice on an instrument. You have to practice how to learn how to drive, how to practice how to learn how to write papers, how to learn how to. That's why we went to school growing up. We had to practice and learn different skills. When you're doing carpentry, anything, any skill that you have to practice. Love requires practice. And I had to do another message on the love comes naturally. I was going to go ahead and engrave it and graft it into this one. No, it doesn't. I'm just showing you proof right here. If you love me, keep my commandments. It requires things that you do. It says love your, it tells you too, as husbands, love your wife as you love yourself. As you love yourself, meaning you have to love yourself. That's a prerequisite. It's a requirement before you even get a wife. You have to love you. And I just explained how you love you. It takes all of this. This is how. Nobody ever explained this to me. You gotta love yourself. You gotta be by yourself. You gotta do this. Ain't nobody ever explained this to me. You gotta know how. You just gotta do it. Just do it. How do you do? Where do I start? You just, I didn't know where to begin. I had to feel around till I got it. I didn't hurt people. Was being disobedient because I didn't have the wisdom, didn't have the knowledge. I had the wisdom. I knew I was supposed to have been loving myself. I had the wisdom. I didn't have no knowledge. As I gained the knowledge, I started applying the knowledge. And I got the understanding. God gave me a revelation. So I'm sharing it. These are the things how you love yourself. You take care of your mind. You take care of your body. You take care of your spirit, man. Feeding yourself. Godly things, holy things. Things that are connected, pertaining to the Lord. Having that bond, having that relationship with God, meditation, that kind of stuff. Meditating on what God has told you. Taking care of your stuff. Everything that you have. To the best of your ability. If you got, even if the stuff you have is not what you truly desire, you got old hoopty, take care of that hoopty. Wash it, clean it like it's the best car in the world. You got a regular apartment. Clean that apartment to the best of your ability. If you got a whatever it takes, then you're gonna be. You show those things. You showing that love. You're gonna be blessed with more. You're gonna be blessed with more because I'm living proof of it. I've started out with apartments. I've been homeless. I've been in all kinds of situations. I had regular cars. Like I said, I had regular cars. I had other stuff. I took care of that stuff he blessed me with. He elevated. And one thing I have to work on, one thing I'm working on is consistently doing these things. This is how you love yourself and your craft. That's why I'm always posting videos, playing instruments, stuff like this. That's my craft. Music is my craft. That's my craft. That's what he blessed me with. So I work on it as much as possible. I have to. That's the thing that's going to elevate. That's the thing that sustains and it's going to elevate me. So I have to keep working on it. I have to perfect it. That's why I'm always doing stuff. He gave me a bunch of gifts. So I'm going to use all of them. I'm going to elevate in all of them. I'm going to practice all of them. Everything that I have, I'm going to use it. Because that's what God blessed me with. I'm showing. That's why he always gave me more gifts and more gifts. People are like, you could do some of everything. Because I only had one gift. Like I said, with singing. I use it and use it and use it and treated it like it was just the best thing on earth. He gave me more, gave me more, gave me more, gave me many, many, many talents. Because all you do is take what he gives you and treat it like it's the best thing on earth. You show him appreciation, he loved it. He honored that. And all this is a part of self-love. If, like I said, say it again, if you're not doing this stuff consistent, or getting as close as you can to doing everything consistent, it's impossible to truly love somebody else because you might be giving them half love. That's why a lot of kids grow up traumatized. Why a lot of kids grow up lacking in certain areas. Why a lot of spouses are unhappy because you have people half loving themselves, getting with somebody else that's because the expectation is higher when you're dealing with marriage, when you're dealing with any kind of commitment. Expectations are higher. And even when I first got married, I didn't have none of this stuff down pat. When I first got, in other relationships, I don't blame other people so much. I was lacking in a lot of this stuff myself. I got to come clean on myself. I can bring myself out there. I didn't have this stuff down. I wasn't loving myself. I wasn't expanding my knowledge properly. I didn't used to always do that. I didn't used to always keep up with myself. I had depression going on. I had all that stuff going on. I neglected my mental health. So when I neglected my mental health, everything else failed. That's why I went over the mind first. Your mental health, your knowledge, your wisdom, understanding, All that have to be intact. Otherwise, if nothing else, if your mental health is off, you're not going to take care of your body properly. You're not going to take care. You're going to fall away from God, because people that have depression, they tend to isolate. They tend to cut people off. They tend to exit people out of their life. When you have your poor mental health, you tend to cut people out, and instead of when God sends people in your life, you tend to exit them out, because your depression won't let your poor mental health won't allow you to invite other people in. So you have to manage that mental health. You can't. It has to be managed. It has to be maintained. You have to have that under control. You have to have a relationship with God, so you know who's for you, who's not for you, who is walking with you, who's against you. You have that discernment. You have all kinds of stuff. You be feeding yourself. So things that don't line up with God, things that don't line up with your destiny. That's why you have to use your craft, your gifts, your possession. Now you're focused. Now you headed in the direction. At least for guys too. If you're not doing these things, you're not focused. You don't have a path. You can't. How are you going to assign? Because it said the wife is a helpmate. How is she going to help you if you don't? All these things is what's going to keep you focused on what God wants you to do and what your path is, what your destiny is. If you don't have this stuff down pat, how are you going to lead her? How are you going to tell her what to do? How are you going to? I'm not saying barking orders that are controlling all that stuff. I'm not talking about that crap. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about leading her as far as when it comes to y'all building something together. You have to have a plan. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm trying to build. Are you with me? Can we do this together? I need your help with this. I can't do without you. I'm trying to build this. I really want you with me on this. I'm trying to grow this thing, and I need help with this. You instead of study your wife too, because you're studying her strengths, her weaknesses. Now you know where to place her when it comes to what you're trying to do, and you know what upsets her, things like that too. But when it comes to, I'm talking about trying to build together. You know what she's good at, what she's not good at. You know not to place her in an area she's not good at. If you're studying her. See what I'm saying? All this is important. And if you're not managing, you can't assign anything to her because you don't even know what needs to be done in the first place. He told me up with this. He punched me in my face with this word. He drugged me all the way up the street and back home. But at the same time, I had joy I wanted to shout. He told me up with this one because there's some things that he's been dealing with me on, and I had to get it down pat. Still got to get some stuff down pat. We all got to work on it. So me personally, I'm not bashing nobody. I gave it to you the way he gave it to me. This is how it sounds. If it tore you up, hey, it tore me up first. Yeah, he got me this morning. He got me. He woke me up with this one. I need you to wake up. I gotta tell you this. This is blah 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 blah. He was whooping me up. He had a extension cord. He had, man. I don't know. It felt like a extension cord when he got done with it. And like I said, if you managing all this, you ain't got time to be jealous of nobody else. You ain't got the time to be envious. It keeps out pride. It keeps out all of that stuff. Because you're going to be busy doing these things, elevating your mind, taking care of your body, increasing your spirit, feeding your spirit, taking care of your possessions, working on your craft, things that you're good at. That's going to elevate you. It's going to take you to the next level. So your gifts will make room for you, place you before great men. We're lacking in these areas. That's why we're not growing. That's why we're not elevating. We're not applying these principles. Boy, he gonna make me shout right now, boy. But it's applying. We have to apply that stuff. When we apply that stuff to our life, I promise you're gonna see results. You're gonna see results. If you apply these things, you're gonna see. You're gonna see it. You're not gonna see results before then, but once you apply this stuff, I'm telling you, you ain't got time to do nothing else. You ain't got time to be distracted. You don't have time to focus on other people, what they doing wrong, where they lacking at, what they did last Sunday, what they did last summer, you won't have time. I still see people joining. Just watch the playthrough. Like I said, I'm going to keep it up. Just watch the playthrough on it. You're not going to have time. This is what self-love is. People that just joined, name them one more time. Mind. You're taking care of your body, taking care of your spirit. Like I said, mind is you manage your mental health, increasing your knowledge, reading, studying, whatever it takes for you to expand your career, expand your abilities, expand just your knowledge, your overall thinking level. Even playing games to increase your brain performance, stuff like that. All that's helping. Seeking God for wisdom. Using your knowledge, applying your knowledge to gain understanding. I'm only doing it because I see other people joining. Your body, taking care of your health, taking care of your hygiene, things like that. God beat me over the head with that one. Grooming, things like stuff like that. You're staying connected with your doctors, your stuff like, and your spirit, feeding yourself, feeding your spirit. Your relationship with God, fellowshipping with other spiritual fellow believers. That's going to pour into you. It's not going to drain you and all that other stuff, because you're drained enough when you pour into other people. God's going to use you in ministry, whether you're in the fivefold or not, because you're going to be pouring into any believer. We're called to help others, so we're going to be pouring out. So we need people that's going to pour back in. That's part of it. What are you taking care of your possession? Taking care of the things that you might have, stuff that you own. What are you doing with that? And like I said, your house, your cars. Are you managing those things properly? Are you taking care of your vehicles? Are you keeping them up? Your craft. Let's say you're a teacher. Let's say you're a doctor. Let's say you're a lawyer. What are you doing to become a better doctor, a better lawyer, a better teacher, a better police officer, a better business person, a better musician, a better artist? What are you doing to work on and expand those things? And like I said, all that stuff is self-love. If you don't have that stuff down packed, and like I said again, if you're not doing these things, you don't have it down packed, you're not consistently doing this stuff, you're not consistently loving yourself. If you're not consistently loving yourself, you can't consistently love somebody else. It's just not, you're going to have problems. And how did people always do this? People might ask, how people did it back in the day. They were trained up in this. Women were trained up to be wise, were trained up to groom, were trained up to take care of themselves. Men were trained up to work, were trained up to work with their hands and work on their craft, and had gained skills and things like that. People were trained up in it. We're not trained up in it anymore. So now we have to learn it. What we lack as an adult, we have to learn. It's our responsibility to learn and gain it. So, as that being said, that's all I had to say. If you live for God, believe what He say. He's going to take you a mighty long way. Hope you learned something. Y'all be blessed. I love y'all with the love of the Lord. And catch you guys later.